You wanna guess the day that I read this book on? The month. You wanna guess the month?
Didn't you say you read it right after your birthday?
No. No, this is the life ceremony.
Oh. It was like October or something, right?
November 4th.
I knew it was like October or November. That's crazy.
I think it was supposed to be an October episode, and then I pushed it back, and then you decided not to read it. And so now I get to tell you about the short story collection that's a horror, and I really like this book. I recommend it. If you like literary horror and short stories, I recommend. Um, it's really good. I'm gonna read more of her work. Um, sorry, I just looked at the content warnings and I laughed. I giggled a little bit. Anyways, it's been a long time since I read it, so this is gonna be interesting.
Why are you speaking like we're recording?
Because we are recording.
Oh, well, yesterday you said you might not have time to record both of them today. So my bad.
I
My
found time.
and you didn't tell me. So I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? LOL.
Oh my god. Hello, welcome to a Fish and Fire podcast. Stream of Conscious podcast. Very similar to how we talk to each other on a daily basis. On today's episode, we have life ceremony. I think I already mentioned that, and the randomness that was the intro. I'm Sayaka Murata. Do I have a fun fact? My fun fact is that in between recording episodes, I should have had made a coffee. But I didn't. And that's fine. I'll just probably be drinking the second one until like 6 p.m.
Girl, anyway, I'm gonna eat a yogurt while we're recording.
You want to do your intro first, or is that your intro?
No, my name is Fish, aka Stingray. And yeah, I guess that is my fun fact for this episode. I'm about to eat a yogurt.
I love that for you. I love that.
I
Um,
I I don't know what else to tell you. Nothing
I
is
don't know either.
the fact I've been rotting for
Uh,
months on it. I'm
I
fine, I
mean,
swear to
same.
God.
So content warnings. Cannibalism is the first one.
Oh, fun! I'm so excited.
I know, right? Body horror, vomit, sexual content, death, incest, stalking, animal death, and excrement.
I was excited till you got about halfway through that list.
It's always the incest. It's always the incest. I don't know why we always find it. I don't want to always find it. Can we
I
stop?
know. Has it didn't you remember when there was just like a bunch of incest in our books back to back to back, and we're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't like it here. I don't like it. I am because I gave each story an individual rating. All of them were 3 or 3.5, except for the first one. Hi, puppy. Which I gave 4 stars. I will tell you, I did average out the rating, and it was a 3.29, I believe. Yep. But I gave the full collection like 4 stars because it was just like a good horror collection. I'm gonna let me live my life. Um. Anyways, I like doing short story collections because I can just read a whole entire short story, type up notes about it for 5 minutes, and then read the next one. It's fun.
I love letting you live your life. I will always let you live your little life. I love you.
Okay, thanks. Alright, first one is a first rate material. So the plot of this one is Nana is wearing a nice sweater made from 100% human hair.
Oh my god, yeah, I think you told me about that one.
Yeah, this was the one that I thought you'd really like. She got it, as, she got a loan to buy this sweater. Um, her friends complain
How?
about how her fiance is against using human clothing or furniture and how it's so much nicer. Um,
Sure. Whatever helps you sleep at night.
I think why I really like this one. This one's very much like Tender is the Flesh, where it's like our world, but there's just one thing, especially with like how we handle humans in a specific way. That's just off, but it's just normal in this world, and you're just there, just like, what the fuck. So yeah, they tell her to have him try on a wedding band made from tooth, and he'll agree. Um,
Honestly, that sounds kind of cool.
she
If it
visits the
wasn't human teeth.
she visits the fiance after he was working during a holiday, and he gets mad that she's wearing the sweater, guilting her into throwing it away despite her still paying off the loan for it, which I, in general, with things like that, would be pissed. Um, she makes the argument that she's the one who bought it, but he says using dead people for items is sacrilegious, and yells at her saying if she buys any of the furniture for their place together, from human materials, he will instantly break it off since he can't go shopping the next day with her anymore. That's like a whole thing. Um, I would like
Honestly,
to remind everyone that I believe this is Japanese initially. So there's stuff with Japanese culture. Yep, Japanese.
I kind of understand his point of view, but also the only way I could like rationalize it is if people were donating their bodies for these things. But if they're not donating their bodies for these things, yeah, that's completely fucked up.
She questions how animal hair is any better since the people can consent to it, and otherwise they just be wasted and burned. Thank you for saying your whole thing right before I read that sentence. Um, as soon as she throws away the sweater, he love bombs her into making her agree with him. Um, her friends help her pick out furniture, and Nana lets it slip that her fiance calls her barbaric for her taste, and she questions if they really are good together. But the friend says as long as they are making mutual sacrifices, it's fine, which they aren't from what we've seen so far. So it's kind of like, hey, what's going on here? The idea that she too will one day become furniture after she dies is a deep-seated comfort about the idea of death and how she'll be able to still be useful even after she's gone. Um, Stuff like that. I don't go into detail about all the furniture in this furniture store, but there's like lamps made out of bone and skin, and there's like a chandelier that's like very, very expensive, made out of human, like stuff like that. Um,
Okay, American Horror Story Asylum.
they go to visit the fiance's family to learn the father had a veil made after he died from his skin for Nana to wear at their wedding. Um,
Um, uh,
yeah, shortly before the father's death, the fiance and him were in a fight, so he didn't go to the funeral. So he grieves over the veil as Nana wears it and agrees to use it in the wedding. Um, right. And on the drive home, he questions his views and doesn't know what to think anymore as Nana wonders what they'll be in 100 years. Basically, the whole point of this one is to use his very gruesome thing to delve into the idea of grieving and uh, what happens to you after you die and stuff like that. So,
I
just a good
probably
time.
really liked it. I like it from the sound of it.
Um, okay, next story. A magnificent spread.
Oh, if you didn't catch on, I didn't read this. I thought about it, and it was on my TBR, but I was like, ah, well,
The next one
I'm having
is
it.
the next one is a magnificent spread that I rated 3 stars. So the narrator's sister has weird eating habits and is meeting her fiance's family for the first time, so she has to cook for them. The fiance requests she cooks what she normally eats, which she does at the narrator's place since it's larger. Immediately, his family is disgusted, but the only thing in the narrator's house is super nutritious freeze-dried food since her husband is obsessed with it. Um, the fiance's parents aren't into it, and to be safe, brought some of their own food, which is multiple types of bugs marinating in jars. Uh, the fiance says the point was to show how different they all are, and since he mostly eats chips and sweets and therefore won't eat his future wife's food and cooking, he still loves her, and clashing their cultures or forcing the other into one will just lead to unhappiness. And the mother agrees, saying she was forced into enjoying uh, bugs despite being disgusted. Um, the narrator's husband comes home after they all eat what they prefer normally and puts it all in one bite, forcing the cultures together, and that crushes everyone up. Basically, being about how different cultures eat different foods, and um, you shouldn't be disgusted about it and stuff like that. The end. Pretty obvious one.
You know, I also relate to having odd eating habits.
All
That's
right,
a joke.
a next one, A Summer's Night's Kiss, 3.5 stars. Yoshiko. I'm surprised how well I actually pronounced that first try. Is 75 and has never been kissed or had sex despite having $2 due to artificial insemination. On the rare occasion she brings it up, people noisily inquire about her sex life and sexual orientation, so she just doesn't bring it up anymore. Because then they don't know, and then it's not this weird thing. Uh, oh god. Kikwe, that's what I'm going with, is her very sexually active friend of the same age, who when Yoshiko told her, just said
Yeah,
really
I
and
think
moved on, and that's why they're good friends because like she didn't make a big deal out of it. Um, Reminiscent of how straight people ask very inappropriate questions about gay person's sex life or trans/non-binary person's body. Like, have you done the surgery yet? The bottom surgery, that one. Um,
Like, why are we asking about people's genitals? Like,
yeah, that's basically the idea of it. And then I put down this note about me. I forgot I put this in here. Have all of us queer women had that one straight guy ask what lesbian sex is, and then if you do answer, they ask, "What's the point then? They should just sleep with men." Or is that just me?
well, that would require people to talk to me and me to interact with people. So,
I mean,
not on
this
my
was in college. Yeah, no, I was in this car with another bisexual woman and him, and I think my boyfriend at the time, and he was all like, "By lesbians use dildos, right?" And I was like, "Some of them, yes, if they choose to." And he's like, "Okay, but then what's the point? They should just sleep with men." And I'm just like, "What?" Anyways,
well, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say a lot of lesbians know how to use it better and they don't even have it. So,
that's so funny. All right, next one. Two's family, 3.5 stars. The characters are also named Yoshiko and Kikue, but I'm pretty sure they are different characters, right? They are 70. Kikue is staying in the hospital waiting to get her surgery to cure her cancer. Her roommate questions if they're sisters since Yoshiko visits every day, but she just says they've been living together for 40 years, which causes the roommate to assume they're lesbians and ignores her for the rest of the visit. Yoshiko and Kikue were best friends in school who made a pact to live together if they were both single at 30. Like many other girls, they were just the ones who actually went through with it. Um, they had 3 kids together via artificial insemination, 2 by Yoshiko, and raised them like they were both of theirs. Many people around bullied their daughters, and teachers questioned why they would raise them if it confuses the children in something like microaggression. Oh yeah, there's like this whole microaggression about, but like it confuses the children. That whole argument that's been proven false a billion times. A friend said they
anyway,
should either come out or just say they are saving money by co-renting. Um, so, more microaggressions. But they have always viewed themselves as each other's family, uh, and whatnot. It's just like more of like people's views on you, especially in queer culture. Um, Kikwe may have died at the end because she drops her journal, but I'm not sure, and it was kind of sad. I'm going through these very fast.
yes, you are. Also, they're testing the tornado sirens because it's the first Monday.
That's
Oh my god,
fun.
it's the first on a Monday. That's so satisfying.
Um, the time of the large star, which I rated 3 stars. A girl and her father moved to another country due to his job. Some magic sand in the air made it so no one slept in the country. Um, Yep, everyone hates the day, which they call large star, because the sun is too bright. All the activity happens during the night, which is what they call little star. Um,
I
since it's still bright enough to walk around and do things. Due to living outside of the country, she is used to the sun and likes to walk during the day when everyone else is inside. One of these days, she comes across a boy at the park who also doesn't mind the sun and asks what sleeping is like. When they both close their eyes and try, they can't. He tells her once you go to the country, even if you leave, you can never sleep again. Which all the adults find convenient, but he's disappointed because he wants to know what sleeping feels like. This is just sad. With the knowledge that she'll never sleep again, she starts crying, but she comes up with the idea that fainting could work, and to make her stop crying, the boy agrees to faint with her someday. I'm basically this one's a story on how you don't know what you have until you miss it. Um, and how you always wish for or desire uh, otherwise or more and stuff like that.
that whole thing kills me. I'm mm, I'm
Um,
fine.
Next one is Poochie, 3.5 stars. I think this is the other one that I remember vividly, other than the first one. Yuki is a classmate of the narrator who she has a crush on. One day after school, Yuki says she has a secret pet in a shed on the mountain behind the school. And when Yuki showed the secret pet, who is named Poochie, to the narrator, she was surprised to find a middle aged man, the age of her dad. um, She talks Yuki into getting him a collar out of fear of him attacking. The next day, she finds Fuchi has a red collar with no chain, but when Yuki explains she chose red because she noticed it was her favorite color, the narrator just says it's sweet and moves on. Um, they take turns feeding him. Yuki found him in the city when she went to take a test and found him lost and hungry, so she took him home to feed him, and he ended up getting attached to her. He does speak remnants of sentences from his previous life. One day they go to feed him and find him gone, and shoe prints exiting the shed, and they assume someone from the city who he belonged to found him. Um, they find him outside in a suit covered in leaves, having escaped their person from the city, uh, coming back to them. Uh,
Hmm.
Also, a lot of this one is just like a lot of just like finding, rescuing a random dog in the city. But the whole time it's just a random guy. It's just a random guy.
I I don't know how I feel about it. That's
Yep, it was an interesting one.
I mean, go off. I guess people. I'm not. We're not gonna
Let's
open
go
that.
lesbians, I guess.
We're not gonna open that can of worms.
Okay, next one is the
You see
titular
this
one.
Toby?
Yes, I see your Kiki. It's the titular one. Our life ceremony. I also rated it 3.5 stars. Uh, One day at lunch with coworkers, Maho learns a retired employee has died recently, and most of the people at the company are supposed to go to the quote unquote life ceremony. This one! I forgot. I wasn't sure this whole time. I was wondering if this one was actually in the short story collection. It is. It is. Okay, I remember this one. Um, the co-workers instantly stop eating and talk about eating people.
Oh,
They ask Maho if she's going, hinting that she doesn't enjoy eating other people, but she explains that she has an upset stomach and is on her period. Um, but one
real.
of the coworkers says she can still get pregnant.
Huh?
Uh huh. Maho remembers growing up eating people was taboo, but with how normal it is now, questions if she imagined that. Um, so what is a life ceremony, you may be asking? Generally, it's cheaper than a funeral, so most people do it, and it is when everyone gets together and eats a dead person. In like the family cooks them into their favorite meal, and then everyone gets together and eats them, and then couple up and go outside immediately, and quote unquote inseminate. That's the word they use, but basically they go outside and have sex.
Outside
Yeah, it's supposed to be this whole thing that's like cycle of life and death, right?
makes sense,
The
but
idea is the life is born from death, and the purpose is to have children with a dwindling population, especially with like genetics and whatnot, like having babies with as many people as possible are genetically different. So like getting all these people together that are genetically different is a good idea, stuff like that. She compares it to
uh,
cockroaches.
ugh, ugh.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
don't you love this? She talks
I
to
actually really do.
a
I think I should have read it.
Maho talks to a male coworker named Yamamoto. I'll try. Who also doesn't like eating human flesh due to getting food poisoning from his grandfather's life ceremony when he was a kid. Uh,
I completely see how this would be cheaper than a funeral.
yeah. She asks if he's going, and he says it'll be a good idea to inseminate someone. So she says she may go too. Clearly hinting at that she's into him. Insemination usually happens in public, which makes Maho think humans are becoming more like animals.
Hmm.
Um, so at the life ceremony, neither Maho or Yamamoto have found insemination partners. She never has before, right? Um, so they leave together since they carpooled, and while walking outside, he slips on semen on the street.
Oh no!
um, so due to some couples not knowing each other when they meet and do this, half children are raised in families. Like they usually, if a woman gets pregnant, she like goes off, like stops working for a bit, comes back after having the baby, and the baby is dropped off at like a home where they take care of the children, right? Um, but the other half come from unknown fathers and are raised in centers. Yeah. So like some That happens, but also sometimes it's actually raised by the mothers and families. But a lot of the time, because they like don't know who the father is, and like paying for taking care of a child, and like being a single mother is a difficult thing. That happens a lot of times. Um, Maho continues to question how humanity's views on cannibalism and sex has changed so much in so little time. While out for drinks with the Yamamoto, I'm failing every time, and he says she's just stubborn and morals always change, so it's not a big deal. She flirts with him at the bar, and then over the weekend, he dies.
Oh my god.
The face I made. Um, it's the first time someone close to her has died. His mother calls,
Ow.
assuming Maho is his girlfriend, since she was the only girl in his phone log.
Oh
And
my
he
god.
lied and said he had a partner to make his mother happy. Um, she insists on helping the preparation of his body for the ceremony after learning his mother and sister are doing it alone. And it usually takes a whole team, like a professional team that the family pays, but they don't have the money for it, so it's just the two of them. So she's like, "I'll come over and help." He had specific hard to do recipes he wanted to be made into, which, dude, what the fuck? Um,
I guess maybe he's into some tacos or something. I guess I don't know.
sure, will do. Um,
Or some mac and cheese while you're at it. I don't
okay.
know.
Quote me. All the descriptions of food makes me want to watch Hannibal again.
Oh my god, please no. For my
I
mental
do,
health.
I do, I do, I do. Yep. His sister gives her leftovers, so she decides to have a picnic. Um, the image of semen on the street no longer leads to thoughts of wild animals, but of beautiful flowers.
Sure.
She shares the leftovers with a gay man on the beach who's worried about her. He goes off after eating, and she continues walking when he comes up behind her with a bottle full of his semen so she can inseminate herself.
Um, sure.
They notice a ton of people inseminating on the beach. She hand scoops the semen into herself in the ocean that
Oh, oh,
Yamato loved.
oh,
And that's how
oh.
it ends!
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Imagine hand scooping semen and I'm too. I'm. I. I fear I'm too gay for this. This one in particular.
Oh my
That,
god,
oh,
bestie. No, I just looked at this stream. The song playing in January, and I'm not even there!
that's so sad for you.
I'm gonna go listen to it on my own after we record this. Out of sadness. Um, so Body Magic, 3 stars. Shiho and Ruri, damn it, I was doing so good for like 1 second, are generally considered complete opposites. Rory is more developed, but Shiho has more experience with boys. They are the only two in the art class who use oil paints, so they talk a lot, right? When Rory learns Shiho has already had sex, she assumes she was taken advantage of since she looks so young. Uh, but she's had the same boyfriend since first grade, and she initiated it. Also,
That's
this is
first
where the
grade. Damn.
I would like to note this is where the incest comes in because he's her cousin.
Oh no. Never mind.
Hearing Shio talk about it and how her other friends talked about kissing boys when they were younger struck her as completely different. Um,
Imagine kissing boys when you're younger. Ew.
almost like her friends were like being pressured by college boys and whatnot, while Shio chose herself. And continues the sentiment a lot. Thanks to conversations with Shio, Rory feels comfortable in her own body and masturbates for the first time.
Oh,
Yep,
okay.
about the importance of girls accepting their own sexuality in a healthy, safe way where they're in control. But even the strongest of girls and their pleasure can be taken down by vulgar man. That's just basically the whole entire premise of this one. It was good. I liked it. It was just a little weird.
And maybe don't sleep with your cousin. I
That
don't know.
too. That too. I almost sent you a bunch of Game of Thrones twincest memes the other day.
Absolutely not.
um, right, Lover on the Breeze, 3 stars. From the point of view of a curtain in a girl's room.
That's so real. Why was I like, oh my god, when you said that?
The girl's name is Naoko, and she names the curtain Puff. due to its texture and always puts her face in it.
That's sweet.
11
I
years
hope this
pass,
is good for
and
you.
Naoko is a teenager who invites a boy over. His name's Yukio. Eventually, they kiss. Every time he's over, Puff feels the sensation of him in the room and ends up being infuriated with him. Naoko's parents go to a
Already
funeral
love
far away, so Yukio stays over and they cuddle all night. Eventually, early in the morning, she goes to make him breakfast as he continues to sleep. So Puff unhooks himself and goes in the path of the wind to land on him. Yukio cuddles Puff, thinking that Puff is Naoko until she comes back and gets mad and doesn't believe him when he says he was asleep. Um, a little later, they are at a party, right? And Yukio makes a joke that he cheated with Puff.
it.
Uh, everyone laughs, but she's sitting in the corner, glaring at Puff in jealousy. Uh,
What the fuck?
Not much later, Naoko breaks up with him, saying she's in love with someone else. And after he leaves, she calls Puff, showing she was jealous of Yukio, not Puff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. About the need to embrace the inner child and not wanting to grow up so fast, but also the whole time reading my notes about this, I was just thinking of that door
Not
erotica.
the door!
You know the one where or the sentient door, or the sentient pillow one, or the sentient a balloon animal one. Um,
Isn't it called like Squeaky or something like?
Squeak, yeah.
Oh my god. I mean, you gotta admit, it has a good name. That
Uh,
was actually kind of sweet.
God, January's still playing. I'm so upset about this. I'll finish this fast so I can go read January. What? Listen to January on my own. Um,
I listened to January in the shower last night. It was very nice. Oh,
so
but also, are you okay?
no.
I sang my favorite song.
My favorite
One of
song
my
is
favorite songs.
Monster. Are you kidding me? It goes Monster, then January, then 15, then Lavender Daughter, because obviously those two go together, so technically they're in third place together. And then Earth Eyes, and then Lip Service.
Bestie, mine's Lip Service than Earth Eyes. How do you think I feel?
I know, we're fucking insane. Anyways, Puzzle, which I rated 3 stars. Uh, Coworkers Sene and Amiko are on the train during rush hour. Amiko hates it, like most people, but she loves being with so many people in one small area. She brings up that she's always nice and never gets angry, and that's why everyone at work likes her. She was a sickly child, so watched the other children play most of the time.
Me
Uh, she,
too.
she loves the sitting buildings and people watching from her apartment, and she hates mirrors and normally flips them. Someone from the street looks up and notices her watching. She has cold breath. She hates eating, which led to her fainting of anemia once, so she begrudgingly eats now but doesn't enjoy it.
Why is it decoded?
Um, and I quote the book, toward life forms, all she had was a yearning that felt left no room for hatred.
Why is this me coded? I don't like it here.
And then, quote me, is she an alien? Because she keeps on using the term life forms to talk about how her body isn't the same, like how she's always cold and may not secrete liquids.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Amiko gives her an exercise tape to test, so she uses it trying to swim, but ends up just leaking water. Um,
Okay.
they help a younger coworker, Yuka, with a guy low-key threatening her outside. And at office party, Yuka ends up being sick, and Sene is really interested in the vomit. She decides to use that same toilet after helping Yuka into a taxi. She relates more to the actual, like the physical office buildings than other people. And starts seeing her coworkers as just flesh who are her internal organs. Oh, right. Okay, so she sees her coworkers as flesh.
Uh huh.
Uh, who are her internal organs, like they are the organs of the building.
Mhm.
Uh, Everyone thinks she has a boyfriend from how happy she is now. Yuki invites her over to her place. Her heart disappears and comes back, and she views Yuki as a stomach in a white cocoon. This is what's so weird.
Why is this me coded? I'm sorry.
The threatening guy is Yuka's crazy ex who shows up at Yuka's and Sanae thinks he's her heart and sees him gushing blood. He's talking about parallel worlds. She came from a parallel world to get her organs back and absorbs the guy to get her heart back, and suddenly she's warm. And then to quote me, this one is so weird. I have no clue what just happened.
I don't know, but I feel like I should have read this. That
I
one
was
was
telling
so
you.
brilliant. Sigh. I'll forget about it in a few weeks and then I can read it.
True. Um, All right, next one is Eating the City, which I rated 3 stars. Rena remembers visiting her grandmother in the mountains and eating the fresh food there. Living in the city, she has trouble eating all the processed food and dreams of eating fresh vegetables again. I remember this one. Her co-worker Yuki, I assume a different Yuki, talks her into foraging in the city to cook, so she does this, but has trouble not seeing the fumes and trash and disgust if the city is everywhere she goes. Um, Eventually, she settles on some dandelion leaves and goes home to cook them. In an attempt to make them edible, she overcooks them and ends up getting sick. After she's better, she goes outside to go to the convenience store, ravaging hungry, to find dandelions right outside the door. So she decides to pull them and lightly cook them and feels better. Uh, she starts to view humans as the wild animals of mountains. Every day after work, she goes foraging and views herself as part of the earth. Uh, Yuki starts questioning if it's okay for Rita to be eating this stuff, and she lies, says it's from her grandmother in the mountains. She gets Yuki to try some, trying to lure her to her side, promising to bring chicken someday soon. Uh, which is hinted will be a kid's pet bird she saw being buried
Girl,
in the park. Yep. It's possible eating these wild plants makes her able to magically grow plants from her own hands. Um, and the whole point of this one is the idea of how non-chemical, non-preservative food being a trend recently, and how each person's specific ideas about food can seem odd to people with other ideas.
mm-hmm.
All right, we're on to the last one, bestie. Haruka is hanging out with her
You think the levels
fiance.
of needed could
I
be like a thing for like not feeling a part of everything else, not a part of the system, not a part of whatever this thing is, and viewing it from the outside. But once something finally happens where you're involved and feeling the feelings you need to feel and being like valued in whatever way you need to be valued, i.e., her absorbing the heart from the guy. You see what I'm saying? Like she's finally feeling love, so she feels like a person.
sure.
Wow. I have big brain thoughts, and you're like, LOL, sure, nobody.
Yeah. Okay, last
Wow.
story, which is Hatchling, which I rated 3.5 stars. Okay, Haruka is hanging out with her fiance as she replies to people's messages. He calls her laid back and untogether, but we see in her text messages that she's usually the one in the friend group who handles all the details of hangouts and keeps track of everything. Um, but he continues to call her untogether, and she just agrees with him. We see her through different stages of life, and depending on where, such who she's with, she's a different person. Usually the person they want her to be. She realizes this, but also recognizes a lot of people act a different way depending on who they're with to be liked. A friend from Film Club, where she's considered a princess, comes to the work where she's considered a tomboy. Knows this, and this is her for being two-faced and never talks to her again. Um, After
Um,
graduating and switching jobs, she tries not to become a new person in the new environment, but even then, her new coworkers put her in a box, making her into a new character. Um, she was introduced to her fiance by school friends who called her Pea Brain, which is why he always considered her simple-minded and together. Um, Aki is a school friend who is the only person who knows of the 5 Harukas, and uh, they question who she'll be at the wedding with people from all sectors of her life. One day, the fiance comes home and starts telling Haruka to actually do something, stop being lazy. So she tells him to choose which Haruka will be at the wedding, and then all the other wedding stuff will come easily. She tries explaining it by using the different wedding dresses each version would wear. That like is a good explanation, actually. Um,
mhm.
he freaks. Uh, so she gets
No,
him to
I'm
calm
very
down.
excited to about.
She gets him to calm down with a 6th version Aki created that is hateful. He instantly accepts this version, giving her a nickname reminiscent of Hannibal Lecter, and changes himself to be more like a mother right in front of her. Haruka mourns the loss of the man she loved with this change and tries not to scream. And obviously it's about how we change to be who people think that we, uh, what we think they want us to be and need to be. And also it's very masculine coded.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's the last one. That one's also good. They're all good. Like there wasn't one that I disliked. Like they were all good, and a lot of them were very weird.
I
Also
feel like
whoever did the translation of it did a very good job because I remember right before I read this, I read another Japanese novel or novella, uh, that had two short stories and it was like two short stories, right? Um, and that one was translated like I did not get it. Like it's a really popular book in Japan, and I was like I don't get it, and I looked it up, and it's because the it's infamous that the English translation is not good, right? Um, and so going from that to this one, in which the English translation is so good, like it gets everything across. Just hats off to that person,
the
whoever did
one
that.
thing I find sad about translations is that no matter how good the translation is, it's never going to be exactly the same thing.
You're right, which is why someone talked me into trying to read War and Peace in the original Russian someday.
What?
You heard me.
I'm gonna pretend like I didn't. I'm gonna pretend like I didn't. Wait, I didn't even know it was Russian. I don't know nothing about anything.
Yeah, he Leo Tolstoy was a Russian author. His whole thing
Now
was
that
thinking that everyone should be able to like read, like not just like upper class people should be able to like read and understand literature and stuff. So he wrote his books to be for the mass, right? Which is why when I went to read it, I was very worried because like it's over 1,000 pages, originally in Russian, um, very old book. Like, am I going to be able to enjoy it? But the fact that like it's so accessible, um, makes it just that's just the thing.
don't you love accessible classics?
Yes,
Well, this was interesting.
that it was.
I feel like I'm sad. I think I should have read it just
I
for
kept on
real.
telling you, but I was like, I know that once I tell you the stories, you're gonna want to read it. So
Listen, I was having issues. I'm still having issues. We're ignoring the fact I'm having issues.
listen, once October comes around, you'll have forgotten the whole entire thing, and then you can read it for October.
True.
I know,
I
right?
haven't read it before this year.
Um. All right. Any final thoughts about this book? It's very weird, but I also recommend it.
I need to read it.
I know you need to read it. I'll be telling this shit to you, but alas.
I try. I really do.
Um, I'm pretty sure I have her other books like on my like I immediately after I finished it put her other books. I think it's Convenient Storewoman or something like that. Ginny
Mhm.
Tapley Takamori is the translator, by the way. Um, Convenient Storewoman, yeah, and then Earthlings, which is another.
Yeah, my
They're
first thought was
both
Earth.
literary weird books, and I immediately put both of them on my TBR. So you know, a book good, a good book.
Mhm.
I recommend. Also, I'll give it the another thing. I'll just note. If you couldn't tell from me talking about themes, half the time I did not write down the themes in my notes. So just me being able to read over the notes, I was able to like tell the themes even after all these
Yeah,
notes.
you couldn't tell the theme with that one, but I sort of did.
Yeah, so like that's like the themes are it's like very accessible in that way. Where like it's like got themes in each story. It's trying to say something, but not in the over the top way where it just like feels like it's whacking you upside the head with a message, right? It's in a subtle way, but in a subtle way, a subtle and enjoyable way, in a way that you can easily tell what the message is afterwards when you just think about it for 5 seconds, right? And I like that. That's the way I prefer it to be. I think that's the way everyone prefers it to be. Let's be real.
Mhm.
Anyways, do you have any thoughts?
About books.
Yeah. No, in general.
I want to read it. And you said in general. If we're talking about in general, You can find everything you need to find about us below. Maybe it would be nice if you actually did that. If you're on YouTube, maybe you leave a comment for my mental health. I
um,
would love it forever.
do you have anything else to say?
No.
Thank you. I'm gonna go paint my nails now.
Oh my gosh. Okay.